Goeiemôre, ek is Arnold Geerts. Jy kyk na Goeiemôre, Good Morning, dis tyd vir sport. En wat 'n groot eer om een van ons bestes, inteendeel, miskien selfs die beste van alle tye, ons cricketkaptein toets, cricketkaptein Temba Bavuma, welkom te heet. Temba, thank you firstly so much for your time. I know that you're a very, very busy man at this stage, so thank you. It's an honor to have you with us. I want to start off way back at the beginning. Did a young man from Langa ever think that he'd end up in this position that you are in at the moment?
Thank you, Arnold. Thanks for having me. No, not in the wildest of dreams. Do I think that I'd have the privilege, the honor as well of leading our country in a final at the home of cricket? You know, those are things we couldn't even really dream about when we were young. But I mean, I always had, I guess, the passion for the game. So yeah, I'm happy that I was able to stay true to that passion, and really reach high heights.
You mentioned the heights, but you come from very humble beginnings. Just take us back to where cricket started playing a role in your life when you were a young man and a boy.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a place where sport was a big thing. I grew up in a sports-loving family. All my uncles played cricket at the highest level that they could, considering the times. So I was always within that passion. Cricket was only but one of the sports that I played, and through cricket, I got a lot of opportunities. I got the opportunity to attend some of the best schools here in the country. And, being in those type of systems really gave me a better chance of being someone. So cricket has always been something I've known, Arnold. I dread the day where I'll have to walk away from the game.
We do too, I must be honest, at this stage. I don't even want to talk about that. I think it's way too early for that. But just take me back. Obviously, the schools that came after you saw the talent, but when did the young Temba Bavuma first think, hang on, there's something here more than what the normal kid has?
Yes, I mean, I was always passionate about the game, right? I always dreamt of playing for South Africa, representing South Africa in Test cricket, having a bag of green. But I think probably when I was around 15, 16, did I really believe that it could be more than just a passion? And that's really where I kind of put my head down and tried to make it more than a dream. I think also at that time, Arnold, that's when I grew a little bit taller and got a little bit stronger. So I was able to hit a bit more sixes. But yeah, the dream, the passion of the game was always there. But probably, yeah, later on, grade 11 or so, that's when I believed that it could be more than just a passion.
And then I'd like to touch on leadership. I speak to so many of your peers and some of the administrators in the game who love the way that you lead. When did that first become apparent to you that there was captaincy material deep inside there?
So I think coaches from when I first started playing first-class cricket, they would all kind of say that you've got leadership in you. One day you'll be a captain. I never thought much of it. I never believed them. I don't have great captaincy experience coming in from school cricket, even from my first professional year. So that was never really a thing for me. Captaining South Africa, that was never a dream. But I think probably 2019, part of the Lions, where there was a change in guard from a coaching point of view. Enoch Nkwe, he came in, and one of the changes he made was to make me captain. And I think that came at quite a pivotal moment in my career, where it was almost like I was trying to find some sort of a resurgence, really stake a claim at international cricket. And I think the success that I managed there really gave me the hope that this is something that I could do at higher honors. So, yeah, I mean, that journey has been it's been a lovely one. It's been it's been a tough one, full of highs and lows. But I think what I found with it really evolves. The pressure doesn't go away; that stays there. But I think as a person, you keep discovering yourself every series, every season. Yeah.
You mentioned the highs and the lows, and I do want to go to the lows. A batsman inevitably has very rich patches and is a great vein of form, and then all of a sudden gone. How does Temba Bavuma get himself out of one of those slumps?
Yeah, I think that's the toughest thing being a batsman. We accept that you fail more than you exceed. It's hard to accept, but I think the older you get, the easier it is to allow that to become part of your reality. I think, when I was younger, I struggled with how to deal with all of that. I would always try and look at it from a technical point of view, try to change things. But then the older you are, you understand that it's a little bit more, it's more mental than anything. And it's more about getting yourself mentally in the right space to play your best cricket. And I think that's been something that, unfortunately, I've learned a little bit later within my career. I wish I'd learned that a little bit earlier, but yeah, I think for me, mentally, that's probably where that's the biggest asset that we have as elite athletes.
I think it's called wisdom. When you get to my age, Temba, maybe, I'm not sure. It's even at my age, one battles with it, especially if you're a guy. Let's turn our attention to what happened at Lord's. First innings was not a confidence-building one, but the team hung in there. How did you create that?
We came into the game knowing that it was always going to be tough against Australia. You plan, and you plan, but things never really work out according to how you plan. But it's important that you still keep the belief in yourselves, in our strategy, and we make sure that when we get a second chance, that we make use of it. So, we always knew that our bowling was our strength as much as their bowling was their strength, and I think that showed in the first innings. When we came out to bowl in the second innings, our bowlers got us right back in the game, and then it was up to us as the batters to make sure that we don't lose the momentum. Obviously, a lot of people speak about that partnership between Aiden and I, which really was probably the defining moment in the game. But I think there were other small contributions as well. Vian Mulder, Bedingham there at the end, who kind of closed it out. So, yeah, man, I think when you come up against teams like Australia, like I said, number one, you got to keep the belief, and number two, you got to make sure that when the opportunity is there, you don't let it go.
It was a magnificent performance from you, particularly in view of the fact that the hamstring gave you so much trouble, and in fact so much that you're not going to be part of the team going to Zimbabwe now. How is that healing up, and how did you handle that when you were batting?
Yeah, the hamstring is feeling a little bit better. I'm not too sure exactly of the prognosis, but it's a couple of weeks. I think I still ask myself how I was able to kind of manage to keep going, considering what the results say from a medical point of view. I think the adrenaline, obviously, that was pumping. And I think obviously also the status of the game, the situation of the game, where that was Eden and I, we identified that that's the key moment in the game. And we needed to keep going, Eden and I have got a fantastic relationship. He's one of the strong leaders within the team. He's the vice captain. And you have the vice captain, you have the captain, your two senior players. You want those guys to be standing up. So I think identifying that that's the moment for us to stand up, that was one of it. And look, we were able to get through that quite well.
And one cannot say enough about KG and the way that he handled himself and just was there on the mark every single time.
Yeah, KG is a superstar. He's a true warrior of the team. He embodies our character and spirit of the team. He came into a game. There were questions about him. There was a little bit of controversy. So he kind of knew that people would be looking at his performances, how he's able to bounce back, and he did it no other way than KG's way. So yeah, man, like I said, he's a superstar. I'm sure he'll go down as a legend, not just in South African cricket, but within the global world.
Temba, we're just about to wrap things up. And again, thanks so much for your time. I know that you've had 100,000 requests for interviews. I am interested to know, what do you think the impact of this one will be for cricket, not just 5 years, 10 years, maybe even 20 years down the line? How do you see that?
Yeah, I think like more now in the intermediate. I look at the support we had at the stadium. half those people were South Africans, So I think that already has had a positive influence. I think it would already cause that sentiment around cricket in South Africa to go the right direction, towards a positive direction. And I think obviously us, I think I've heard that it's the first time in 26 or 27 years that we've done something like this as a country. And as part of our legacy as a team, we'd like to be the group that is known to have started the culture of winning trophies for the country. So, yes, man, hopefully this is goes on to expire. I think about it within the rugby, where the rugby had that 95 moment. I was too young to really understand what happened there. But I guess in years to come, it will really tell. But I think, in terms of inspiring the nation, in terms of really bringing us together, showing us we can do it our own South African way, I think it will go a long way towards achieving that.
Temba, Bavuma, it's such a great pleasure and an honor to chat with you. I cannot tell you how proud we are of you, not just as sports fans and cricket fans, but as South Africans. Thank you for what you've done for South Africa.
Thank you, Arnold. I couldn't appreciate it even more. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Temba Bavuma, regstreeks in gesprek met ons net hier op Goeiemôre, Good Morning. Dis nou nogal interessant dat Temba die 95 wen noem, want net so 'n paar dae terug was dit die 35 jaar feesviering daarvan en dis baie spesiaal. Dis nie iets wat mense gereeld kry nie, maar dit wys jou net as daai eerste hekkie eers verby is, dan is dit sulke tyd. Jy is ingeskakel op Goeiemôre, Good Morning. Net hierna gaan ons voort, so moenie ver weg gaan nie, want ons het nog ongelooflike televisie wat vir jou wag.